I stood at the edge of the trees, with my husband's favorite casserole burning through the towels in my hands, staring at the cabin he told me didn't exist. Inside, Evan was laughing. Not freezing beside a campfire, not sitting in a tent with his friends, laughing under warm yellow lights in the anniversary sweater I bought him, with wine glasses on the table and couples seated around him like this was a weekend retreat. I stepped closer, ready to knock, ready to force myself to smile and say, "Surprise." Then someone inside said my name. She would have cried if she knew how close she was to being campfire ghosted, Tyler said. Everyone laughed. Then Evan's voice cut through the glass. Mara's too trusting to check anything. Before I could breathe, a woman answered, soft and familiar. That's what makes this so easy. It was Lauren, my friend, the woman who had held my hand through every lonely month of my marriage. That morning, I had packed Evan's cooler myself. I checked the weather twice, folded extra socks into his duffel, and tucked a note between his shirts that said, "Come home safe. I love you." When I asked where exactly they were camping, he sighed like I was exhausting him. "Mara, it's a guy's trip," he said, zipping the bag too hard. "Can you not make one weekend about your anxiety?" So I backed off. I told myself he deserved space. I told myself love meant not pushing. But 2 hours later, when I found the casserole still sitting in our refrigerator, I thought, maybe this is my chance to make him smile. So I drove alone down gravel roads until my phone lost service, following the directions he had accidentally left open on his tablet. I expected tents, smoke, maybe a cooler full of beer. Not a cabin with string lights. Not Lauren sitting beside him. Not my name turning into a joke. My fingers loosened around the dish, but I didn't drop it. I stepped behind a pine tree and lifted my phone with shaking hands. The red record button glowed against the dark. Inside, Evan raised his glass. "To one last weekend," he said, "before Mara signs everything." And all I could think was, what was my husband planning to make me sign? I crouched behind my car and replayed the video with the volume low. To one last weekend before Mara signs everything. Evan's voice came through clean. No static, no misunderstanding. Just my husband standing in a cabin he swore he wasn't staying in, celebrating something I hadn't agreed to. My phone buzzed in my hand. A text from Evan. "No service out here. Don't worry if I don't answer. Love you." I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. Inside the cabin, he had service. He had wine. He had Lauren. For months, I had felt him slipping away in small, humiliating pieces. His phone was always face down. He changed his passcode and said married people deserved privacy. When I made dinner, he picked at it and said, "You don't have to try so hard." When I stopped trying, he asked why I had gotten lazy. Every time I told Lauren something felt wrong, she leaned across coffee shop tables and said, "Mara, marriages have seasons. Don't let insecurity ruin yours." Now Lauren's voice was floating through the cabin walls. I called her. Through the window, I watched her phone light up on the table. She glanced at the screen, smiled like she had just seen a private joke, and pressed decline. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed. "Hey babe, at my sister's tonight. Everything okay?" My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I almost typed, "Sorry, I'm being weird." Then Evan walked behind Lauren, slid his arm around her waist, and kissed her like there was nothing secret about it. The room kept talking. Evan laughed and said, "After the separation talk, she'll blame herself if I phrase it right." The words reached me like a hand around my throat. Separation. 2 nights earlier, Evan had left papers on our kitchen counter and called them insurance forms. "I'll explain when I get back," he'd said. "Just don't overthink it." I lowered the casserole onto the hood of my car and peeled back the towel. Steam rose into the cold air. I had made this because I loved him. He had counted on that. So I locked the dish in my trunk, turned off my headlights, and walked back toward the cabin. The porch boards creaked under my shoes. Before I could knock, The door swung open, and Tyler stood there with a beer in one hand and a grin already forming. Then he saw me. His smile fell so fast, it almost made the silence behind him louder. "Mara," he said, "what are you doing here?" The whole cabin turned. Evan stood near the kitchen island with Lauren close beside him. Wine bottles lined the counter. Someone had music playing from a speaker, but nobody moved to turn it off. I looked at my husband and said, "I came to bring you dinner, since you said you'd be sleeping in a tent." Evan blinked once, then he laughed. Not because anything was funny, because he needed everyone else to think it was. "Okay," he said, stepping toward me. "Mara, honey, you scared everyone. You can't just show up in the woods like this." He put his hand on my shoulder. I looked down at it. He squeezed lightly, the way someone handles a person they want others to see as unstable. "She's been anxious lately," Evan told the room. "I told you guys it was getting intense." My face burned, but I didn't move. Lauren tilted her head. "Mara, I only came because they invited me last minute. This isn't what you think." I looked at her. "Then why did you text me that you were at your sister?" Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. "You misunderstood," she said finally. So I pressed play. Lauren's ringtone filled the room through my phone's speaker. On the recording, she looked at my name, smirked, declined the call, and typed the lie she had sent me. Tyler stared at the floor. Evan's jaw tightened. "So now you're recording people. Do you hear how crazy that sounds?" "No," Tyler muttered. Everyone looked at him. He swallowed. "Evan, just tell her about the separation before this gets worse." I turned back to my husband. "What separation?" Evan lifted both hands. "It was supposed to be private, just a trial separation. No drama, no lawyers. Some simple paperwork so we both have space." That was when I saw Lauren's hand tighten around a folder near her overnight bag. I pointed at it, then opened the folder. Lauren pulled the folder tighter against her chest. "No," she said, "this is between you and Evan." Evan stepped in front of her bag before I even moved. That was the moment I knew the folder mattered more than the affair. I took out my phone and called the one person Evan could not charm as easily as everyone else. His older sister, Denise. She answered on the third ring. "Mara, is everything okay?" I put her on speaker and kept my eyes on Evan. "Did Evan send you separation papers to look over?" The cabin went still. Denise didn't answer right away. Then she said, carefully, "He sent me a quitclaim deed and a post-nuptial agreement. He said you already agreed to it." My stomach dropped, but my voice stayed flat. "I didn't." Evan reached toward the phone. "Mara, hang up." I stepped back. Denise's voice sharpened. "Do not sign anything. Where are you?" I looked at Lauren. "With Evan," I said, "and Lauren." No one spoke. That silence answered for me. Evan lunged for the phone again, but Tyler caught his wrist. "Don't," he said, "not with her recording." For the first time all night, Evan looked around and realized the room was no longer his. I held out my hand toward Lauren. "The folder." Lauren's eyes shone under the cabin lights, but her voice came out hard. "I didn't know all the legal details." Then she threw it onto the table. I opened it. Highlighted signature tabs, my name printed again and again, a deed transferring my claim in the house, a post-nup stacked underneath it. On top was a handwritten note in Evan's blocky writing. "Keep her emotional. Don't let her call a lawyer first." I photographed every page. Then Evan's phone lit up on the table. A message preview from his divorce attorney filled the screen. "Once she signs the house transfer, file immediately." Before I could speak, Denise's voice cut through the speaker. "Mara, leave now. Bring everything to my office tonight." I didn't slam the door. I didn't throw the folder. I picked up every page, kept my phone recording, and walked out of that cabin while Evan's fake camping weekend collapsed behind me. "Mara," Evan called, following me down the porch steps. "Stop! You're making this worse than it is." I turned beside my car. He lowered his voice, switching into the gentle tone he used whenever he wanted me to doubt myself. "Lauren and it just happened," he said. "I handled it badly, okay? But those papers were only to simplify things. You're turning a private marriage issue into a public disaster." I looked at the cabin behind him. Tyler stood in the doorway. Lauren watched from beside the window, arms crossed around herself, no longer pretending she had come there by accident. "This wasn't just cheating," I said. "You staged a camping trip. You brought my friend. You let everyone laugh at me. Then you planned to come home and make me sign away the house before I knew what was happening." Evan's face hardened. "You don't understand legal stuff," he said. "No," I said, opening my car door. "But Denise does." I drove straight to Denise's office with the folder on the passenger seat, and my wedding ring still on my finger. Denise was waiting in the parking lot in sweatpants and a coat thrown over her pajamas. She didn't hug me right away. She looked at my hands, saw the folder, and said, "Inside, now." Under the fluorescent lights, she spread the documents across her desk. "This quitclaim deed would remove your claim from the house," she said, tapping the page. "This postnup shifts shared debt toward you, and this separation agreement could weaken your position if he filed right after." My phone kept lighting up. "Evan, please answer. Evan, you're emotional. Evan, don't let my sister poison you against me." Then Lauren texted, "Please don't ruin my life over one mistake." I stared at the message for a moment. Then I deleted it. Denise looked up from the papers. "Mara, did you sign anything?" I slid my wedding ring off and placed it beside the unsigned documents. "No." For the first time that night, my hands stopped shaking. By morning, the story had already escaped the cabin. Tyler admitted in a group chat that there had never been a real camping trip. Screenshots spread through spouses, relatives, and friends who had spent years hearing Evan call me clingy. The image he protected so carefully broke first. Then the leverage did. My attorney filed before Evan could twist the story. The recordings, photos, messages, and witnesses made it impossible for him to paint me as unstable. The attempted paperwork became part of the divorce negotiations. Evan had to move into a short-term rental, pay legal fees, and explain why he tried to pressure his wife into signing away her home during an affair weekend. Lauren lost the promotion she had been expecting after coworkers learned she had lied for months to cover an affair with her close friend's husband. The friends who helped hide it found their own marriages and friendships under scrutiny. Months later, the house was quiet in a way that no longer scared me. I cooked dinner for Denise and the few people who had stood by me. No one mocked the food. No one called my carefulness anxiety. No one made my loyalty into a trap. When I opened the kitchen drawer, Evan's old note was still there, the one where I had written, "Come home safe. I love you." I folded it once and dropped it into the trash. I had driven into the woods carrying his favorite meal, but I came home carrying the truth, and that was the last thing Evan ever took from me.